Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Mike Kollin at MikeKollin.com. Okay, so I just had an experience, a conversation with someone, and I think it kind of, I don't know if I want to say it reminded me or refreshed my understanding of something. So first of all, this person is a wonderful, wonderful person. Very, very much. Can't say, nothing but good things. She's educated. She's smart. She's just a wonderful, good, caring, compassionate person. So it's not a bad thing. It's an important learning. So, as I'm sure those of you who follow this channel for at least 4 years or more, you've noticed I've came out of the anger, I've came out of the hurt, I've came out of the, like the isolation and all the bad stuff that goes along with narcissist abuse. So for the most part, I've been living pretty carefree and having fun and just, like today, okay, I went to San Francisco today, rode my bike all over the place. I've got a ton of video footage of that. Some of it's going to be pretty shaky, but I think there's some really good stuff. I went to a different part of the city. So here's my overall point of sharing that with you is I'm pretty much living carefree again like I used to. I think there's a greater awareness when I meet people. I watch them, I listen closely, I pay attention. But I'm out there meeting people, I'm having fun, I'm going on dates, I'm, just all over the place. And I think what comes with that, or did at least with me, was I'm going to say it the best I can, but I'm going to have to jump in the story for you to understand what I mean. You kind of forget that other people who haven't been through this, like they don't understand. They don't understand. Now, in this case, not that this person didn't want to understand, because they did, and they listened very much, and it was really nice. In fact, she had said something to me. What did she say? And it really was like, that was really nice. And it was like, keep going, like you can do this, like you've got this, or you're going to get back on top, etc. And I was like, that was like, honestly, that was awesome. It was something I wasn't expecting, something I haven't heard probably in a long time. So here's the thing. I had a pretty long conversation. It wasn't meant to be this long, but something came up, and she had a hard time. Like, I don't want to say, yeah. I think at first she just didn't look. Oh, Michael, blah blah blah, and it was kind of this, almost kind of like. Kind of not condescending, but what's the word I'm looking for? They didn't understand. This is someone who is a very aware person, tuned in person. She's very aware of psychology and stuff like that. And she just, like, she couldn't, it wasn't that she didn't want to, it was that she just, it didn't, like, it's kind of like missing numbers in math, and like somehow things don't add up. Like, that doesn't, like, what are you talking about? Like, it's just, there's this sense of not, if you don't have the experience, like, you can't relate in any way, shape, or form. And it's not necessarily a bad thing, it's just they can't. And I think that's something we have to remember, is like, look, these people, if they haven't been through it, like, they're gonna look at you like zombies, like, what are you talking about? It just doesn't, they can't relate. So I think this video is a very important video for those of you who have been damaged by narcissist abuse, who have been hurt, deeply wounded, and nobody understands. Even the good, caring people who are very and can be understanding. So that is something people can do, is do their best to be understanding, even if they don't understand. Okay, so that's good. So for the most part, you just can't share this with people. They will literally look at you like you're nuts. And now, by the way, the reason why narcissists will do such insane things is because the average person will be like, that again, it's the whole mathematical, like, some of the numbers are missing. Like, hey, this doesn't make any sense. Like, are are you sure you're okay? Like maybe you need to, get some meds, some medication. And narcissists know that okay. The only people that can understand, I mean, genuinely on a deep level with clarity understand, is somebody who's been through it. So that being said, let me give you an example. So I had a client he may still be following the channel. He found me through my channel and he called me up one day and he pretty much poured his guts out. And so what he was talking about, I'm going to give you the gist of it. I do not remember the exact details. This was about 2 years ago, maybe a little bit more. I'm using this as an example of how they brainwash you and condition you, and they create this false, I don't know what you call it, this false experience. So this guy called me up pretty much in a panic or a frantic state of mind, and he was talking about, hey, these people have been harassing him and been doing this to him and doing that and going to his house and I think like his yard and his front door. And I think they at one point had followed him and or chased him in the car. And there was a very interesting thing that they did. Interesting in more than one way, and I'll break that down at the end, or the end of the story. So essentially what he was telling me was he was basically someone who was in art. I think he even had an art gallery. He was really good at art, and he showed me some of his pieces, and they were amazing. I mean, not just mind-blowing. So he'd sell these pieces for, I think it was like anywhere from $20,000 up to, I think, $100,000, maybe $200,000. The guy's the real deal, did really well, etc., etc. So a wannabe competitor who wanted to be an artist, who wanted to be successful, but just didn't have the talent, he got jealous, and it was a narcissist, and he went after this guy. So he would harass him. They'd pull up on side of him. Now, this part I don't remember. This is kind of a vague story, but I think something in the car. But there's something that they did consistently, with no matter how they did it. And here's what they did. It was something to do with yellow, and I think he even said it was the color. He made it specific, and I think it was the color canary yellow, if I remember right. Forgive me if I'm off on this story, but I want you to get the gist of it to understand the psychological thing that they were doing. Every time they would attack him, they would, trash his car, or do something to his house or his lawn. They would leave behind, I think it was a yellow triangle. It had something to do with canary yellow, and I think it was the shape of a triangle, but I do know it was the color yellow, or canary yellow. So this kept happening, and it was always out of the blue, out of left. He'd just be cruising down there, all of a sudden, boom, someone pulls up side and starts yelling and screaming, swerves at him, and they've got this yellow triangle in the passenger window. And then they went to his house, and they put the yellow triangles all over his front door. Or the next time they trashed his lawn, then they left it on the lawn, or they would leave it like on the sidewalk walking up to his workplace, and then it was, they'd have like a yellow triangle on their t-shirt or whatever, and they kept doing this. So he had told me he tried to tell other people, and he said, like, because I realized my friends are looking at me like I'm nuts. So because it sounds bizarre, it is just like, this doesn't make any sense. Like to a normal person who hasn't gone through it, like what, like, dude, are you sure you're all right? And that's what the narcissists do. There's two reasons. That's the first reason why they do this. Because they know your friends and family are going to look at you like they did. What triangles? What are you talking? Like what, on the highway they swerved at you and there's a triangle? Like, dude, I think you're reading into this too much. And you're like, what the fuck? I'm telling you, this person swerved at me on the highway, and now you're telling me I'm reading too much into it? What the fuck are you talking? But it's bizarre to them, and they're just like, why would someone do? And I remember that someone said, like, Michael, why would someone do that? Like, that doesn't make any sense. And it doesn't make sense. So one of the things they want to do is they want to isolate you as much as possible, and part of doing that is by doing these crazy things, and they know you're going to go to your family, you're going to go to your friends, you're going to go to a therapist or whatever, and they're all going to look at you like, yellow triangles? What? So here's the second reason why they do that. So they do this for 6 weeks, 12 weeks, 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, 6 months, maybe a year, or however long they do this stuff. And then let's say, and this is the second part. So let's say he's at the grocery store or bookstore or somewhere, and some beautiful lady, elegant, educated, classy, just a really, wonderful lady walks up and starts to talk to him because she's attracted to him or, wants to get to know him or whatever. And he notices on her purse is a yellow triangle of that same color. So after being harassed, intimidated, bullied, had his car trashed, had this trashed, that trashed, his work attacked, etc., what do you think he's going to think when he sees that yellow triangle? So maybe it's the logo of the purse, like it's on her purse it's part of the logo of the company that makes that purse, right? So what do you think he's going to feel or experience? Yeah, the fear that comes from people attacking him. So do you think maybe the thought of, oh, is she one of them, might go through his mind? Yep. So let's say he doesn't talk to her because it was like, okay, fuck this. Excuse my language, but... And then let's say 6 months go by and he meets another lady and there's no triangle or nothing, and they dated once, twice, 3 times, 5 times, and then he goes over to her place and there's a like a yellow triangle pyramid on, like a little crystal or something, statue thing on top of one of her tables, and he's like, oh shit, that's the same color and it's the shape of a triangle. Now let's say that was just a gift that someone gave to her 5 years ago. Let's say the lady with the purse, the lady 6 months before, like, that was just a purse that she really liked, and neither one was a part of this group. But it's still there, and it's like, and that's what he would say. Like, another thing they did was on a social media, people would start to... it wasn't YouTube, I forget which one it was, I think it was Instagram or Twitter or something. Well, people would start to follow him and they would have that same yellow canary, or I think even the triangle, in their image instead of their picture, or etc. And so it wasn't just one person, and then all these people would just talk shit, right? So it would be like multiple accounts that started suddenly following him. So he's going, well, how do I know which one is real and which one's not? And that is the second part, is to get you so confused. It's not even confusion thing. You just don't know. Like, well, like, did she buy that purse on purpose because it's got that yellow triangle to fuck with me? Or does she just like that brand? And then the second woman, it's like, okay, wait a minute. She's got a freaking pyramid, a triangular pyramid of the same color. Like, coincidence? Or is she part of this group? So number one, they're trying to, they know you're going to go tell your friends and family, and your friends and family go, what? And it's going to ostracize. They're going to they will physically lean away, pull back, and they will also start oh, hey, I'm busy, I can't talk now, because you're acting like a weird effing dude. Like, dude, I think you're losing your marbles. You need some medication. So and what this does, it increases the isolation is what they're doing. So then the second part is to get you to either not date at all or to not know who to date and to go through that whole withdrawal thing. So those are the two purposes they do that. Now with you, it may not. The reason why I chose this story is because it was a very symbolic thing, in your brain go, oh, that makes a lot of sense. Like, next thing you know, they're doing all this yellow triangle thing at his house, at his car, at his work, at his this, at his that, up on the highway. Every time they harass him, they got a yellow t-shirt with a yellow triangle, and then on social media, etc., etc. So it'll make you really paranoid anytime you get around that color, the yellow triangle thing, right? So here's the thing. This may not have happened to you. I mean, the yellow triangle thing, that's a very specific thing. But they did it in a way that it would cause you to stop doing something, stop working, stop dating. They probably did it for both, okay? They want to ruin your life. So a lot of times what they do is they'll have people approach you to date you, to go out with you. Now, they've probably been doing this for years, and you have no idea what narcissist abuse, had no idea what's going on. And this guy was an asshole. This guy played mind games. This guy gaslighted. This guy lied to you. So then, you break up after a year or two of it, and you're single for 6 months, and then you date another guy. And then that happens. They love bomb you, but you didn't know what love bombing was, right? And then they did the devaluation phase, but you didn't know any of this stuff until years and years later. So you start to think, well, this is just the way guys are, or you get this connection like, I don't want to date anymore. So then it's the next guy, then they send in another guy, then another one, but you don't know that they're sending these people in. You don't know that they're doing this. This is all part of gang stalking. So what happens is you just completely stop dating. But what really needs to happen is when you go in isolation, your brain is what's the word I'm looking for? It's reevaluating all your memories. Like once you discover what narcissist abuse is, and you go into, it's a lot of times like you don't, like I didn't know what it was. I went to isolation because I didn't know how to function. Like I didn't know who to trust. So if you're in that phase where you just are like, I don't know who to trust, believe it or not, and especially if you are isolating yourself from people, believe it or not, but you're actually finally learning how and who to trust. You're learning to listen to your gut feeling, your intuition. You're learning to, instead of just, oh, they look like a nice person, they're saying nice things, to start listening to what they're saying, the way they're saying, to pay attention like to the consistency or inconsistency, to the congruency or lack of congruency. And when things don't match up, when you're getting that sketchy vibe, something's not right, yep, I'm out of here. So you're learning to develop your discernment. You're learning to develop your intuition, to tune into the energy, the feelings, the emotions, the energy of the person. And you're also learning to be dead honest with yourself. Did they lie? Did they lie again? Were they consistent? Is their energy matching their words? Like that's another thing you'll notice. Are people, number one, does their body language match their words? Does the actual electromagnetic energy, the feeling you get from them match their words? Or is it like, wait, this isn't feeling solid like he's saying. This is very light, like something's not right. Number one, that is absolutely what the 2, 3, 4 year, 5 year isolation period is about, what I call the Great Wall of China. It is you learning to listen to you. Listen to your feelings. What are your feelings saying? Is something inside you saying, run, get the hell out of here? Well, guess what? Run, get the hell out. Or is something saying, I have a really good feeling about this. Hang out for a while. Check things out. Listen a little closer. So here I was or am with this really good person. I mean, this is just a really good person. And it's something that she said was, but why would they do this? Like, this doesn't make any sense. Like, but what do they just go around ruining people's lives? And I looked at her and I said, yes. And she said, but why? For no reason, just to do it? And I said, yes. And she said something like, why? That doesn't make sense. And you know what? She's right. It doesn't make sense. And I said, because they're evil, they're demons, they're crazy, like they like to hurt people that are happy. So what am I trying to say here? It's like even the people that care about you and are listening and are being understanding, it's like they're just like, wait, but there's something missing here. It's like, so you're telling me someone just got jealous of you? Someone like with the art guy, like he never even met that guy. That guy was like a crosstown, and he in his mind rival, but like they never saw each other's businesses. And really with the internet now, you don't really have any rivals anymore. It's just like, how successful are you at getting people to your page and selling your product? I mean, attacking another artist isn't going to help you gain more traffic and social media on your sites. It's not going to help you increase your sales. It's literally not going to do a damn thing for you except waste your time and your money, because they had to pay those people to do that stuff. And so that's a very typical narcissist thing. It's like, yeah, they don't really make any sense because they're not like a normal human being. As I've said in the past, they're using their lower reptilian brain, which is the predator brain. That's why they think, act, walk, and talk, and even get this look in their eye like a predator. You know, that dark, everyone says, oh, their eyes went completely dark. Well, that's what happens to a predator when they're hunting prey. The image that came to my mind the moment I thought that or said that was of a cat. It's like you see the cat, he kind of scrunches down and his pupils dilate, which makes the eyes look darker. So my first question is, haven't you ever been right next to a cat when it saw a mouse and it kind of locked on, it froze, might have crouched down, got really quiet, and its pupils dilate? Or haven't you seen, like, one of those videos of a leopard or a wildcat or a lion of some sort that's just locking in and they're hiding behind a bush and they're about to go after their prey? Like, they all do that same thing. So once again, that's when you're accessing your reptilian brain. That's the lower brain. So there's 3 brains and there's the frontal lobes. I don't want to get too scientific here. So when you go into your left brain, the pupils get really small. In fact, the further you go into the left brain, they literally become like, eye of the needle, like a little tiny pin poke. Or a pinhole, I should say. And then when you shift to the right brain, they begin to dilate out a little bit, like medium. But when you go into the reptilian brain, they're wide open. So all I'm showing, using actual physical Western science, is this is how you know when someone's in one brain or the other brain. The normal human doesn't do that. Not in social interactions, at least. They can do it in states of fight or flight, or if they're getting attacked, or whatever. But in normal, social situations, they don't go into that hunter-predator mode. But a narcissist or a psychopath does. Now, because of my background in psychology and hypnosis and NLP, there's something called being associated and anchors. In psychology, they call it stimulus response. That's the whole Pavlov and the dog thing, where he did a stimulus. In some books it says a bell, and other books it says it's a tuning fork. So basically he connected a certain emotional state for the dog to go into a, like excited, like I'm about to eat really good food state, and it salivate. And they'd even cut a hole in the side of his cheek, and they'd put a tube to where they could see the fluid dripping out, okay? And so when they got him in this excited state, they wouldn't let him eat for, 24 hours or 2 days, and then they'd let him in this room, and there's really good, like, steak or whatever across the room. The minute the dog went into that state, they'd ring the bell, and they did this for like 10 times or 12 times, to the point where the dog could be in the room, he's not hungry, there's no food, and they just trigger that bell or that tuning fork, and the dog would begin to go into this excited, frantic, salivating state. And even the dog at one point had this look on his face, like kind of confused, like, why am I so like excited, like I'm about to eat food? There's no food there. The short way of saying this is they will connect emotions to something. It could be a yellow triangle, it could be an act, or it could be a series of words, or it could be whatever. And it gets neurologically linked in your brain, literally in your nervous system, through your 5 senses: see, hear, feel, smell, and taste. In the artist's case, it was visual because it was something you could see. It was a color. Okay, I've got another example. There was a young lady, high school, really, really good at art. Like, I was like, wow, like I was good at art, but I wasn't that good. So essentially what the family would do is, the minute she would really get excited and get into that real good state of doing artwork, they would come over and they'd slam something on the ground, or they'd smack her, or they'd scream, or they'd humiliate her, or they'd say, oh, you suck. Oh, so what happens is, that state of going into, like, I love to do art, gets connected to all this pain, all this negativity. Or just flat out telling her, oh, she's really proud. Look at this. Like, oh, you're not that good. Oh, so every time she's in that emotional state of doing artwork, it gets connected to emotional pain. So for those of you who have truly dealt with a narcissist, this is what you've gone through, whether it was in dating, relationships, your work, something you love to do. Like, all of a sudden you won't do it anymore. So with this artist, what happened was they started going to his Instagram page, and that was his #1 source of getting clients. Like, he had this system down, and all of a sudden all these different yellow things would pop up, and then people would respond with the yellow triangle, or would do this. And so he was so then that triggered all those fear states, okay, and worry states, and then that connected that negative emotion to his business, to his artwork, to Instagram. And so for a lot of you who somehow you just shut down out of nowhere and you just felt pain and sadness all the time, it's because they set an anchor. So here's what they do. They set a negative anchor, like absolute fear, like stress and worry. And what they do is they connect it to the very thing that you love, such as artwork. Like the way they did it with this guy is they kept doing this yellow thing, and then they connected that to his business, to his Instagram page. So he used to love doing his Instagram page. So every time he went there, it triggered off those fear states and those states of absolute stress and worry. He couldn't sleep at night, etc. When he goes to work, now his work becomes this miserable place, and now Instagram became this miserable experience that he didn't want to do, simply because the way this anchor was set. So the very thing that you love to do becomes the anchor that triggers that negative state. So every time that young lady would go do her artwork, that was what would trigger off those intense states of fear or sadness or not being good enough, etc., etc. And same thing with that guy who owned that art gallery. The very thing that he loved to do is what triggered those states. So let's say, you got out of a relationship and you had all these bad relationships. So what happens is the very thing that you desire literally triggers those negative states. So what happens is your brain has this system like, yeah, get away from that because that's pain. Your brain literally has that programmed in it. So you go away from the very thing that you love. This is what narcissists are doing to you. But this can be rerouted, this can be reframed and also changed. Now, anchors can be reset and reframed. In other words, you can reconnect them to the positive emotional feelings. So it's like, like if you push K on your computer, well, that K, that letter, the button is connected to K inside the computer and a K comes up. Well, you can rewire that and connect it to A. So every time you press K, it goes to A. So we can do something called collapse anchors. We can do a reframe. There's a series of things that I'm trained in doing. So you can shift anchors around. That's why with me, I recovered relatively fast. So a lot of you on this channel, a lot of you have just flat out told me like, yeah, I'll never date again. I'll never get in a relationship again. So essentially what happens is, okay, so when you go into that Great Wall of China of isolation phase, you're learning to listen to your instincts, to your emotions, your feelings, like when your body's saying, hey, something's not right here. Because before that, you would just blindly trust people. If someone did something bad, you would like, oh, well, they were in a bad mood, or they were tired, or someone at work was mean to them. And no, you got to start calling a spade a spade. You got to start going, nope, they were rude to me. They were disrespectful. They lied to me 3 times in a row. They did this, they did that. Nope, I'm done. And you got to walk away. So you start looking for the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, instead of making up excuses for them. And that's a very empathic thing to do. So when you go into that isolation, you are going over all these memories and you're seeing the red flags that you saw, but you just made up an excuse and you overlooked it. You begin to trust your instincts. You begin to trust what you heard, what you saw, without any filter of covering it over of, oh, well, they're a good person. They didn't mean it. Like you just like, no, I'm done doing that. And then you start to see people for who they are. Another thing that really, really worked for me, I started to feel their vibe. And there's one thing about narcissists or people who spend time with narcissists, they get this kind of scattered, I call it corroded, like a corroded battery. It's like a scattered, corroded, chaotic energy. And when I feel that, I'm out. Now, what I combine that with is when people speak, does the energy of their body, of their emotions, even the energy of the words, does it actually match the words? And if it doesn't, I'm out. So if you want out of the box, if you want out of the trap that narcissists set for you, get a hold of me. This is what I specialize in. Everything we've been talking about is what I'm trained in. Anchors, reframing, shifting modalities, and everything that I talked about, collapsing anchors. These are techniques that I've been training in for 30 years. Not only is there a way out, there's a way to reconnect you to all that emotion, passion, color and power in life, you can drastically shift your life. The ultimate goal, once you get through all of this, is happiness and emotional freedom. That's the path that you've been set on already. Now it's time to cross the finish line. Hey, this is Mike Kollin at MikeKollin.com. If you've enjoyed this video, please click subscribe, click the like button, go ahead and make a comment. And if you want, there's a PayPal donation link right there in the description box. God bless you guys. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.